She's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
The Democrats learned nothing from their devastating defeat on November 5th.
Joy Behar.
Yes.
Gonna leave The View.
Joy Behar is out at The View, and the fallout is explosive. After decades of fiery debates and headline-making moments, she's suddenly gone, but this time, it's not just another controversy. The backlash was swift, social media went into overdrive, and then came the lawsuit from Karoline Leavitt, turning the scandal into something ABC couldn't ignore. When Behar said this,
Are you getting a little nostalgic?
was this the final straw? Did the legal battle force the network to cut ties with one of its most outspoken voices?
Hi, I'm Joy Behar, one of the co-hosts of The View with Barbara Walters. I'm a comedian. This show is finally my opportunity to be taken seriously. That's not a joke.
Joy Behar has been a household name in daytime television for decades. She was one of the original panelists when The View first aired in 1997, and over the years, she became known as one of the show's most outspoken and opinionated hosts. While The View has always been about lively discussions and differing perspectives, Joy stood out for her sharp wit, unfiltered takes, and willingness to go head-to-head with just about anyone. Whether it was politics, social issues, or pop culture, she rarely held back.
With Joy Behar leaving, that they're losing their sister, and she has been there since the beginning. And now Joy Behar, the last original member of The View besides Barbara Walters, is leaving the show.
Her career on the show hasn't always been smooth sailing. She briefly left in 2013 when ABC decided not to renew her contract, but she returned just 2 years later in 2015, proving that her presence was still in demand. Fans either loved her boldness or found her frustrating, but one thing was certain, she never faded into the background.
Like sticking his tongue out at me.
Yeah.
What kind of grown-up behavior is that?
Yeah, and you let it go at that point. You
I
didn't
did.
say,
But
yeah.
if I was a little closer to him, I would have said, what is your problem?
Controversy was nothing new for her. Over the years, Joy sparked debates with comments that many found divisive. She often clashed with conservative guests and co-hosts, which became a signature aspect of The View's dynamic. Some praised her for speaking her mind, while others felt she crossed the line into unfair or disrespectful territory. Despite the backlash she faced from time to time, ABC largely stood by her. That's why her sudden departure came as such a shock. This time, it seemed like something had finally caught up with her, perhaps even something she couldn't joke her way out of. Joy Behar has always been known for making bold, sometimes off-the-cuff remarks, but her comments about Karoline Leavitt seemed to hit a nerve in a way that few of her past controversies had. During a heated segment on The View, Joy suggested that Leavitt, Donald Trump's press secretary, had been chosen for the role not because of her experience or skills, but because, in Trump's eyes, she was hot. It was the kind of remark that might have been brushed off as just another Joy Behar moment, except this time, it wasn't. As soon as the words left her mouth, there was an unmistakable reaction. The live studio audience, usually quick to cheer or laugh along with Joy, gasped. Even her fellow panelists, who were used to her blunt style, seemed momentarily caught off guard. It was one of those rare moments where it felt like she had crossed an invisible line.
But it isn't true that that's why she got the job.
The backlash didn't take long. Within minutes, social media exploded. People from all sides of the political spectrum called her out for reducing a professional woman to nothing more than her looks. The criticism was particularly sharp because Joy had always presented herself as a champion of women's rights and empowerment. Many saw her comment as the exact kind of sexism she had spent years speaking out against. The moment Joy Behar made her controversial comment about Karoline Leavitt, the internet lit up like wildfire. Social media was flooded with outrage, and within hours, hashtags like #CancelJoyBehar and #Fire Joy Behar were trending. People from all sides of the political spectrum had something to say about it. Even those who had defended her in the past found this one hard to excuse. One of the biggest criticisms was the sheer hypocrisy of it all. Joy had built a reputation as a strong voice for women, often calling out sexism in politics, media, and beyond. She had spoken passionately about the importance of respecting women for their abilities, not their looks. Yet here she was, doing exactly what she had condemned others for reducing a woman in a position of power to nothing more than her appearance. Many saw it as a complete contradiction of her feminist stance, and the backlash reflected that. It wasn't just conservatives who called her out. Feminists, journalists, and political commentators from various backgrounds weighed in, questioning why someone who had spent years advocating for women's rights would make such a dismissive remark. The fact that it was directed at a woman working in politics, an area where women have historically had to fight for recognition, only made things worse.
Because of wokeness, you and your old mate Joy Behar may have your jobs because of wokeness, but do not smear a competent professional woman like Karoline Leavitt with your nonsense.
Initially, Joy didn't seem too concerned about the backlash. She laughed off the criticism, acting as if people were just being overly sensitive. But the outrage didn't fade. Instead, it intensified. Viewers demanded that ABC take action, questioning why the network had been quick to punish others for controversial remarks, but seemed to be protecting her. The situation escalated from a simple internet controversy to a real issue ABC could no longer ignore. Karoline Leavitt didn't just sit back and let the controversy blow over, she took action. Instead of just issuing a public statement condemning Joy Behar's words, she made a bold move and filed a defamation lawsuit. That instantly turned this from a typical media scandal into a legal battle with serious consequences.
What matters to this president and this administration is how well you can do your job, and the American people agree with that sentiment. So it's about competence, skill, and merit.
The lawsuit accused Joy of making false and damaging statements that could harm Leavitt's professional reputation. The key argument was that Joy's remarks weren't just offensive, but maliciously intended to discredit her. Leavitt and her legal team argued that suggesting she was only hired for her looks undermined her credibility, her skills, and the work she had done to earn her position. In short, it was an attack on her qualifications, not just an offhand comment. Legal experts weighed in, saying that while defamation cases involving public figures are notoriously difficult to win, Leavitt had a strong argument. If she could prove that Joy's comments were not just an opinion, but a knowingly false statement meant to harm her, ABC and Joy could find themselves in serious legal trouble. This lawsuit put ABC in an incredibly tough spot. If they stood by Joy, they risked being dragged into a lengthy and messy legal battle that could tarnish their reputation. If they cut ties with her, they would be letting go of one of The View's most recognizable personalities. Behind the scenes, executives were reportedly scrambling to figure out the best move. ABC found itself in an impossible situation. On one hand, standing by Joy Behar meant potentially getting dragged into a legal mess that could damage the network's reputation. A defamation lawsuit isn't just bad PR, it's expensive, time-consuming, and could open the door for further scrutiny. If Karoline Leavitt's case gained traction, ABC could be seen as complicit in allowing one of its hosts to make damaging claims on national television. The network had to consider whether defending Joy was worth the legal and public relations nightmare that could follow.
She's actually the youngest ever in that job. Karoline Leavitt, she's just 27 years old. But boy, was she giving it to the Trump haters in her first White House briefing. It was such sass.
On the other hand, cutting ties with Joy wasn't an easy decision either. She had been a staple on The View for decades, one of the longest-running panelists and a key part of the show's identity. Love her or hate her, Joy brought in viewers. Her outspoken nature and willingness to challenge guests and co-hosts had been a major reason why The View remained relevant in an increasingly crowded media landscape. Firing her could alienate loyal fans who appreciated her blunt, no-nonsense style. Behind the scenes, executives were in full-blown crisis mode. There were discussions about possible ways to handle the situation. Some pushed for a temporary suspension, allowing Joy to step away for a while until the controversy died down. Others suggested requiring a public apology, hoping that acknowledging her mistake would smooth things over. But with the lawsuit hanging over their heads, those options didn't seem like they would be enough. ABC was stuck between protecting its brand and holding on to one of its biggest stars. In the end, it looked like they made their decision, one that took many people by surprise. If you enjoyed watching Joy Behar's exit from The View, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because trust me, this saga is far from over.